Well, good afternoon. We are going to be going over environmental assessments this afternoon, and we are going to go over the websites that you'll be needing to go to be able to pull these reports. The whole purpose of this is that we are providing you information to pull these, so you don't have to pay somebody to go and do this information for you. It's going to be easy and simple enough for you to pull the documents. However, it is going to take some time to sort through what you pull so that you can write the mitigation statements in each section of your environmental assessment. With that, we're going to start with the first website that you'll need to go, that you'll be able to pull a lot of information from. And this is the Montana Natural Heritage Program. And so the website you see there is mtnhp.org. If you go there, what you're going to go and click on is that MapViewer button or option in that main center menu. Once you do, you're going to have a menu that pops up like this. Now, for those of you that don't have a sign-in information, as this is more agency-related feature, it will open up a whole lot more options for you, such as doing doing an environmental summary, which doing it through that option is much easier than going through and pulling it through the individual things that you have available here. So if you need assistance to pull the environmental summary and you do not have a login, contact your local weed district, conservation district, or myself or Jasmine here at the Department of Agriculture, and we will gladly do that for you. You can also contact the Montana Natural Heritage Program, and they will gladly help you as well. It's much easier to produce all the information using that environmental summary button, which we'll see here in a second, rather than pulling these reports individually. So you'll see here, you kind of see this bar options or features off to the side, kind of a menu bar. And then you'll see the map itself. You have a zoom feature. Here's a closer up view of the menu options once they've been expanded. So you have your map layers, you have the things you can search for. So you can do search by location for township and range, named feature, lat long, all sorts of a variety of things. And then you can toggle on different layers. So you can do, I want to see township and range. You can counties, roads, waterways, all sorts of quite a variety of different things. So this is what that map looks like, blown up bigger. And again, you can zoom into your location. You get to choose your project area, to choose your project area. And again, you can search by township, range, lat long, or just zoom into that area. Again, the close-up of the zoom tools there. And again, that map menu bar. This is what you can do is especially if you're using township and range to find your locations, it is much easier to view the township and range and make sure that you select it up here in so you can view that layer, is that you can slide this bar left to right. You see this land cover and you see hill shade. If you want to see just kind of what easier the township and range, if you slide it more towards hillshade, it becomes more of a white topo background, and it is a lot easier to see where your township and range is if you're needing that, especially to draw your project area. Going into, again, the difference between if you have a login versus not. If you can see here in the upper portion, you see what the menus you have, the options you have available. If you don't have a login. If you have a login to the Natural Heritage Map Viewer, you're going to open up an additional 5 items, and one of them being this environmental summary. So again, I can't stress enough, if you don't have a login, please contact your local county weed district, Department of Ag staff, me, Jasmine, or even contacting the Montana Natural Heritage Program, and we will gladly pull your environmental summary for this. So you can create, now if you've gone into, if you have ArcGIS and have a shapefile, or whether even Google Earth and have created a polygon or a shapefile, you can load those rather than recreating the wheel or redrawing it into the Montana, this MapViewer program. You can import that using this button right here. If you don't have that, you're going to have to recreate your project area by using these two options. They're both polygon features. One is a freehand that you could do more rounded and kind of free shapes. The other one is a polygon where you can, it'll be more of like a square or a round. It's set. It's not as like free-handed at all. So once you have your project area, and that's shown in this red line, it's automatically going to pull the information that you need from the report to create your environmental summary. As you're going to see down here, it's going to have an option called Download Report, and then you see these little pluses. That means those areas and folders are expandable. Once you go and click the plus next to an item like Species Summary, you're going to see Species of Occurrence and all these other things that you're going to need. The SOC that you see stands for Species of Concern. If you see a PSOC, that's possible species of concern. So pay attention to those types of things. Each one of these has a little informational report with it that you can use and print off for your landowners if your project gets awarded, so that they know and have material and can read about the areas or things that they need to be concerned about within the project area. And you see other things like you have your wetland summary, you have your land cover, and you have your land management summary. Each of these folders contain detailed information. These summaries include, again, species of concern, all the species in that area, other species, say more commonly observed species, the number of observances, associated habitats, range, rank, and so etc. And you can expand them to learn more about each and have that nice little information sheet pop up. Again, this includes things such as structural surveys, land cover summary, wetland summary, and land management summary. This all is neatly packaged into a PDF that also is linked, that you can link to the Montana Field Guides. So this is what the report, PDF of the report will look like. And like I said, you will get a zip file that contains everything that you need, and you'll see an Excel spreadsheet summary, and you will also find a PDF summary of your environmental assessment. That you need to download these reports. Again, they come in a zip file, and these you will need to attach in your other attachment section of your grant applications. These reports contain a summary tool built in a PDF form and in Excel. They contain species of occurrences, land cover summaries, wetland summary, and land management. So let's take a look at what's in this report. So again, you see the species of occurrences, you see your land cover, you see your wetland riparian mapping area summary, you see your land management summary, and also it includes resources. So if you need to contact and find more detailed information, or maybe verify something within your area, it gives you individual contacts to reach out to if you need further information. All right, so then when you open up the Excel document, you're going to see a title page. And then you're going to see the species of occurrence. With rank. And then you're going to see your land cover. And again, all of this then gets attached into the other attachments. Okay, you need to do all EA forms. There will be a checklist. Complete each line in the checklist. Choose which level of impact is most likely for each line. And this will be broken out for you and walk you through. You need to ask weed control efforts do have impacts. It's just not all of them will be bad, and they may be easily mitigated. You'll have answers such as yes, no, or not applicable, depending on your mitigation needs. Complete each mitigation section based on the answers in the checklist, and even if the answer is no mitigation necessary, please just kind of touch base on it a little bit. These should include specific statements and may include application methods and information from herbicide labels. Again, print out your herbicide labels if you have a light colored marker or highlighter and go through those labels, highlight what weeds you're treating, anything that can do with like wind speeds, how you are to apply the herbicide, maybe any soil conditions, pH, you name it. Highlight those things in the label because you'll need them, whether for the herbicide worksheet portion or to answer some of these mitigation questions in the environmental assessment. So let's start with general vegetation. This addresses the potential damage. You want to address the potential damage to non-target vegetation in the project area. Some of this might be non-target plants. You want to be able to look on the label and maybe see if there's anything specific that it mentions on those that species. Look at the labels to see what plant species are vulnerable to the proposed herbicide. Check the environmental summary with any of the species, or summary report for any species of concern that may need to be addressed. So the text area, again, use Word. Anytime you see a text area needing to fill out, I highly recommend typing your answers into Word so that you have them and then copy paste. It is a lot easier that way for sure. So this section, 1A corresponds to question A in the checklist section, 1B, 2B, etc. Look at the labels and how to avoid non-target plant damage for each proposed herbicide. Check the environmental summary report for any species of concern. Some mitigation strategies may include timing of spraying, creating a buffer, spot spraying instead of broadcast, using biocontrol in riparian or other sensitive areas. If there is no impact, write none in the mitigation statement. So I would just say with that is double check, triple check, because if you have none in there, you might want to take another look. Not saying that that isn't possible, but in this section, it's a good chance you'll need something in there. Okay, moving into wildlife habitat and threatened and endangered species, or TES species. Okay, to address the potential effects of fish and wildlife from weed control, you need to do that in this area. You'll want to look at your report, your MapViewer report, or your environmental summary, and look at for species of concern or any observances of species in the project area. Now, a way to look at this is address maybe any species that have been identified with, say, within the last 10 to 15 years. Anything older than that, you can lump all those together and say these group of this and name the specific items haven't been seen and aren't of a concern in this project area because they haven't been seen for 20 plus years. Something along that lines. You can lump or you can put groups of items together and address them as a group rather than each individual species separately. So with that, you have the mitigation. A list of fish and wildlife species and their habitats can be found using the MapViewer or your environmental summary. You can also contact your local fish, wildlife, and parks biologists to help identify common wildlife species in your project area. Mitigation examples may include timing of treatment when foragers are not present, spot treating plants around sensitive areas versus aerial applications, using mechanical or biocontrols methods in sensitive areas. If your project includes grazing, consult your local fish, wildlife, and park specialist, maybe even NRCS, and describe how that project will address potential issues with bighorn sheep, grizzly bears, wolves, or any other predators within the area. So moving into surface and soils and water, we're going to flip now to the story map. This resource is also on a slide later, and we're going to walk through how to obtain your soils and water, your soils and ground and surface water information. This is called a story map. So Brett created a very helpful tool by using the story map that has all the links to the resources that you will need to pull these reports. So as you can see off to the left here are the items that you're going to need to provide. You're going to need to provide a soils map with soil types and descriptions, physical soil properties with saturated hydraulic connectivity, or Ksat. Even tells you exactly, pay very close attention to the tail end of these descriptions, because that's going to point you into the direction of the items you'll need to click on once we click start. So with that, let's go ahead and start our soils map, or water and soil survey. So once you click that start button, my session expired, so let's just reload this. Perfect. So we're zoomed out quite a bit, right? Well, let's zoom way in here and find us, oops. We'll start a new session. So if you have, again, a shape file or something that you used, either created through Google Earth or maybe ArcGIS or some other program that you have saved, you can load it and import it as this area of interest, sorry. So let's just zoom in here to a spot. Okay. Once you've zoomed into your area and say, I don't have a shapefile, you can either do a rectangle or you can create a polygon of your area. So once you know where you're at, you draw your project area and you're going to get hatch marks. These hatch marks or lines show you your project area. So we're going to start with our soils type. So we're going to collapse this here real quick. And we're going to go to soils map. Okay, so we have our soils map here. Okay, we have a whole bunch of items. Now, once that's been created, we're going to go up and we are going to go click to add to shopping cart. Now, if your person is pulling a bunch of different reports for a bunch of different people, you may want to use this subtitle option so that you keep the project, know which project it goes to. If you're only doing one, you don't need this subtitle option. You can leave it as is and click OK. And then now we're going to go into find the soil physical properties and saturated hydraulic connectivity. So we're going to go up to Soil Data Explorer. And we are going to go to Soil Health. And we are going to go to, oops. We're going to go to Soil Properties and Qualities. Sorry. And then we're going to go to Health Properties. Oops, excuse me, Physical Properties. And then we are going to go to saturated conductivity, Ksat, standard classes, Click on that and make sure it says all layers. And then we're going to click view rating. Okay, we'll scroll back up to our map and you're going to get an image that looks like this. Then we're going to go up to the add to shopping cart. Again, you can put in the name of your project if you're doing multiples, or you can leave this as is and click OK. Now we've gotten that map done. Now we're going to go to water features. So which right here is down at the bottom. And then we're going to go to depth to water table. Okay. And then we are going to click view rating. Perfect. Once we have that, then we're going to go up and click this add to shopping cart. And again, type in maybe the name of the project or leave as is. Click OK. Perfect. And then now we're going to go into soil erosion factors. So as you can see, you can get quite a list of things going on. So we're going to go up here to soil erosion. Okay. And we're going to need to do the K factor. Okay. K factor whole soil. So right here, we're going to click that. Scroll down. And we're going to do all layers. Do view. Okay. View rating. And then you're going to go up to add it to cart. Click OK. Then we're going to stay here in the soil erosion factors. And we're going to do the wind erodibility group. So we're going to click on that one. Scroll down. And we are going to do click view rating. And then once that map is produced, we are going to go up and do add to the shopping cart and click OK. And then we are going to go find the soil chemical properties, which as you can see is right up here. We're going to click it. And then we're going to go find the soil pH, which is right there. Okay, so then we're going to scroll down. And we're going to do view rating. Okay, and then you're going to go up and add that to your shopping cart. Click OK. All right, so now you've gotten all the maps from this website. We're going to go to our shopping cart. Perfect. So again, you can add a subtitle. So some things to save you is to save download stuff is you can unclick how soil surveys are made, and you can unclick this reference. Unclicking these two items will shrink the size of your report, which is a good thing. We don't need those references and the how-tos up here. We don't need those. So once you have unchecked those items, then you can go to the checkout. Okay, it's going to pop this up, and as you can see, this is grayed out. You want to do the download later, and you're going to then type in your email address, and then you're going to click OK. And we're just waiting for that to pop up here. And once you get that email, you're going to be able to download that information and put it into and attach it in your other attachment portion of your grant application. It's just taking a little bit of time. All right, once you've received that email from the Web Soil Survey reports, it's going to look something like this. And then you want to click the link that is provided. And it's going to finish loading here. And then you want to click Save. Okay. Let's go to Downloads. Let's call it the name of your project. Click Save. And now you have your document that you'll need to attach for that, for your soils report to go along with to put in the other attachments. All right, so now we got that done. Now we're going to go into the groundwater well report. Okay, so we are going to go down here and click Close. Okay, we are going to find an area. Let's do search. So I wish that would hide. So you can search your location, or again, let me just open this here so we can see what's all going on here. So this may work a little easier once you click on that link, is that you'll open up your layer here. So you can either do, let's just go in, find your project area, and then we want to do all right, so once you're in this map, you're going to go to select map layers. Okay, and you're going to scroll down here on this side and you're going to go click on water. Okay, and then it's going to pull up a menu. As you can see here, and you want to click groundwater wells. Okay, and you want to do, click that closed. Okay, so once you have this map open, you're going to go and you're going to click search. All right, and then you're going to scroll down here. If you know that if you can draw to search for the location that you want and what you want to have pulled, you're going to use the user drawn polygons. So you have a couple options here. You have a draw freehand, a rectangle, circles. Let's just do, for the sake of ease, rectangle. Okay, I'm going to go in and say my project area is right here. I want to search all that for any of the groundwater or for wells. So I want to generate a report. So it's pulling the information down here. So I have 211 hits, and then I can print paneled results, and or I can export this table to a CSV file. That's what you'll want to do, is you want to export this table to a CSV file, as it will be a lot easier to then sort your water depths, because you'll need to find wells that are shallower than 50 feet. Okay, so that's what you're going to do, and then you're going to attach that report along with your documents in the other attachments. Once you have those components, you'll go back to your report and you're going to answer these questions. Okay, so you're going to work through this EA, soils and water, and I apologize for this being so zoomed out. It's a little difficult to read, but once you're in your applications, it will be a lot easier for you to navigate and read. And you're going to go through each one of these. So you're going to upload your surface water and well maps. Okay. And we've generated and we created a well location. So we've done that. And you're going to review all the documents regarding soils and information. And then you're going to write up and use those for mitigation. Again, you're going to need your product labels to do that, as you can kind of just barely make out here. You're going to be entering in your active ingredients per label. So if you have aminopyrrolid, which is milestone, and that's on your list of herbicides, you're going to select aminopyrrolid, and you're going to mark which effects that has. Does it have drift? Are there erosion controls? Are there just things like that? And you're going to walk through those, and you're going to write those. You're going to write statements for each product you or each herbicide you are going to be using within the project. So if you have a product label that has 2 active ingredients, those you should be able to select both of those to have and address that. It's, again, look at it. Each label is seen as an active ingredient that you need to address. Again, you will need to read your product labels and your site, and look at your soil information, look at your the labels for any drift issues, anything like that. When it comes to, we'll go over air quality and stuff like that in a second, but any of that, you'll need to describe the areas that are vulnerable to nature, to the nature of that product, and how you plan to mitigate negative impacts of that product usage. So water, how far does you need to be away from a well? How far does the product go up to water's edge, or do you have to stay X feet back for to reduce leaching or into waterways? Things like that. Are your soils clay? Are they sandy? Impacts like that. So you're going to have to look at those, each product and your soil information and all of the water information, and address those for each individual product you're going to be using. We'll go over this a little bit and see a little bit more of this close up here. Any questions regarding these, please call or please email Brett or John. And I have, at the end of this presentation, I have their contact information and email. Currently, we still are working from home, so email is much better for them rather than a phone call. All right, so let's go back to our slides here. So going back to soils and water, you've uploaded, we've kind of walked through, here's some information to walk you through how to find the items for your of what we just did to get your resources. and produce those maps that we just got done completing. And again, upload your maps, upload your surface water and wells maps. Again, if you have ponds that aren't labeled, you might want to label them with something just to make sure that if they are in your project area, there's a name that is associated with them and that everybody is familiar with that same name. Okay, review your information. It's very, very important. Carefully read your product labels. Pay attention to slopes. Soils that are vulnerable to leaching. And complete the potential risk assessment. So that's, you're going to list it. This is what we were mentioning before, what I was mentioning before, list every active ingredient that will be applied in the tank mixes or as a single herbicide, single chemical. Each additive ingredient only needs to be listed once, but consider all application locations for your mitigation strategies. Check each environmental hazard box that applies to the listed active ingredient. This information can be found on the product label. Again, if you need assistance finding that, please call for assistance. Again, list all active ingredients. This is kind of a close-up picture of what you'll do for the potential risk. Is you'll click add, you'll have this window will pop open, you select your active ingredients, your runoff, leaching, drift, toxic to aquatic life, are there any surface water restrictions? And then once you get done with that, you're going to click Save. You're going to review your project site maps, public water supplies, mitigation. You're going to do that little portion for each and every single one of those. And then once you've got that done and completed, all right, and then you're going to have to address, does this product contain a soil erosion, compaction, shallow groundwater, surface water wells? And then you're going to provide your mitigation, describe your mitigation strategies. So this corresponds to question A in the checklist. N1B, look at the labels to know how to avoid non-target plant damage for each proposed herbicide. Check the environmental summary report for any species of concern. And some mitigation strategies may include timing, spraying, buffer zone, spot spraying instead of broadcasting. So a lot of the same information, and or using biological controls. If there is no impact, write none in the mitigation statement. But I will say more often than not, if you do write none, you most likely will be being contacted to then provide more information. So really pay close attention, because in some of your labels are going to have, due to soil, types of soils, water, or there are going to be some mitigation. There's going to be some mitigation as to what that is based on the chemical. Pay very close attention to that. And again, use your highlighters or markers to complete that. Again, this here is the link for the story map that has all those links to the resources to produce your soils and ground and surface water maps. And again, moving on to air quality. So air quality, this is to address any impacts to air quality in the project. Note, all herbicide treatments and even burning and soil tillage will temporarily reduce air quality. So this could be even down to the vehicles you're using, or even like how volatile is that herbicide, wind speeds, temperature, how hot can you apply the chemical, paying attention to things like that. So temperature, wind speeds, even type of application. What ways can you reduce drift? Such as either using additives, maybe changing nozzles to increase the size of the droplets rather than having fine droplets, things like that. So look at those components, again, highlight them in the label, especially if it specifically says so, And those are the types of things that you'll be using to mitigate that. While it is temporary, even say with 2,4-D, there is a strong odor with 2,4-D. So if you're maybe near an urban setting, that is something that you will need to address in some way. So just keep that in mind. Is odor also is a part of this air quality. Again, describe the mitigation strategies and potential for significant impacts, as well as any additional impacts not addressed in the table above. So use the herbicide label again to find advisory statements and ways to mitigate air quality and drift. Examples include do not apply at wind speeds over 10 miles per hour, boom length not to exceed 75% of the wingspan or 90% of the rotary blade diameter. Maybe it's apply only by helicopter, not by a fixed wing. Do not apply with a nozzle height greater than 4 feet above crop canopy. Mitigation examples may include applying herbicides by air to reduce dust from ground activity, applying herbicides when wind speeds are between 2 to 10 miles per hour, using a surfactant to increase droplet size, like I mentioned before, and not spraying during an inversion, etc., or even avoiding certain heat, like cutoff points with the temperature as well. If you can visit avoiding pesticide drift for more information regarding that. Now going into our last section is the Montana the historical and archaeological sites. So you can reach out to the State Historical Preservation. You can email. I highly recommend emailing Damon Murdo and letting him know that you're doing this project and what you need. It will be much faster. And he will provide you with a letter. Let him know, if you can, provide a project map of your area to him. So ones that you've created to attach to your grant project, you can use and send it to him to allow him to look that up and be able to provide a statement for you. You can also use your local historical agencies or societies and also work with them to get the same information. Again, let them know that you're going to be doing, your work is going to be related to noxious weed treatment. Let them know if you're going to be burning, doing any tilling or mechanical treatments, as well as any spraying, so that they can write a response with how that may impact any historical sites within your project area. Again, you'll want to attach the letter from the Historical Society or from the historical agency that you have worked with to produce that information, especially if it's local. This can be done through an email or an actual letter. And again, describe your mitigation strategies. Now, this is the EA document checklist, and you'll go through here and you want to make sure that you have all these items and all these boxes should be checked. And any, again, photos, this is just for your whole grant to make sure that you cover all necessary items. And once you've done so, you want to attach those documents on your other attachments, and you will be ready and you've completed your application and environmental assessment. So here are the contacts for any additional environmental assistance that you may need. Myself, up there, phone number, and as well as email. And again, you have Brett and John's email information as well as their office phones. However, be aware it'll be easier for you to reach them once you have, if you use their email. During the time of application, if you, after the deadline, we begin reviewing those applications, and Brett and John start reviewing the environmental assessments. If there are any corrections and you get an email, please do so and make your corrections immediately. Do not wait on them, because if you wait and you miss, that comes time and we're ready to send those on to the council. If you haven't responded, that will kick out your application. So if you are, whether it's myself or whether it's Brett, John, or whomever reaches out to you to have corrections, do so immediately. Don't wait, so that we can promptly review them and get your application, make them the corrections as needed, and get it so it can be ready to be moved on to the next stage. Again, anybody who misses that, while we will contact you to a point to remind you to do that, ultimately it falls back to your responsibility to do so. And if you miss that window, it can mean your application doesn't move forward to the grant hearing process. So it is very important that you respond and make corrections when you've been contacted by staff or those who are reviewing parties. Again, environmental assessments are required on all new local cooperatives. Any additional assessments will be needed. Any additional assessment will be needed if the project area is being expanded or a new arbor site is being added. Environmental assessments can be completed to ensure that the project participants are aware of environmental concerns in the project area. And again, start early, plan ahead. It does take some time to gather the information and go through it so you can write proper mitigation statements for your projects. And again, if you have questions regarding soil and water portions of the environmental assessment, contact Brett or John. And for all others, please contact me at the above. I like to thank you and have a great day.